Hi folks, welcome to RJ Impact. Today we're going to give a quick update on the status of the latest appeal against incarceration of Ramesh Sunny Balwani while he appeals his conviction for fraud and conspiracy to commit fraud that he was found guilty of earlier last year. Well, to cut a long story short, in a 17-page ruling that was issued last Thursday, Balwani will not be allowed to stay free. So unless something else changes, and we'll come to that in a bit, Balwani will be required to report to prison on the 16th of March. Not the 15th, you say? Well, yes, for a reason unclear to me, although I'll give you my conjecture shortly. He has been allowed one extra day of freedom before his scheduled surrender day, now the 16th instead of the 15th of March. So, Mr. Balwani did avoid those Ides of March. Well done, sir. Anyway, Davila wrote that he didn't find evidence raising, in quotes, substantial question of law or fact during Ramesh Balwani's 4-month trial that would merit overturning the jury's verdict. And that could be it for this video. There's a couple of other things I want to mention, and as one aside, Davila is ruling on his own ruling, isn't it? Yes, he was the judge in charge of the trial last year, and he is the judge ruling on his own rulings in the appeal right now. Well, I guess clearly if he'd made an obvious incorrect ruling, something that was overlooked, and we're all human, then he'd probably accept it and we'd all move on. But often the points of law being argued are nuanced, they have incidental comparatives with the case in point, and to rule on your own rulings does seem a bit odd to me, and clearly, with the best will in the world, you're going to be somewhat biased towards your own rulings. And I guess that's why hence we have the Court of Appeal, who shouldn't have been involved in the proceedings at all, who will be making, or could make, the final arbitration. And there's a lot more to be said on this point just generally and philosophically and, in terms of the rules and procedures in a democracy, but that's it, just a few thoughts for now. I'll therefore rule on my own rulings and stop labouring the point. Yes, stop it. So Balwani was convicted last year for crimes he committed with his former love interest Elizabeth Holmes whilst they ran the defunct biotech company Theranos. They were found to have made false claims and representations to investors about the profitability and contracts the company had, and to both investors and patients about the viability of the company's tech. Claims which were found to be largely untrue and disproportionately exaggerated where there was a kernel of truth. He faces nearly 13 years behind bars commencing this Thursday if his appeal ultimately fails. So what could keep him on the streets at this time? Well, his lawyers say they intend to appeal the latest ruling, and so now he'll need to convince a federal appeals court to keep him out whilst his appeal against the conviction plays itself out. And I suspect this is why there is an additional day granted to allow some or other judicial process or possibly administrative to take place, and to allow the appeal against this latest ruling to take place or be lodged in a timely manner. This is merely conjecture on my part, however. His prison. Well, Davila, who sentenced Balwani and denied his request to remain free on appeal, had recommended he serve his time in Lompoc prison. This is a low security prison in California. I did a little bit of research on this a while ago, and these were my notes. It's apparently in California, Lompoc prison is, and it's about 250 miles from the San Jose courtroom where Balwani was convicted last year. As you'd probably expect, it's low security for non-violent offenders, although there's apparently quite a few drug offenders and some high-profile political offenders in there as well. It has counselling, self-improvement courses. It has a few famous inmates, but perhaps not really the A-star grade inmates we've all heard of. Although there was a famous jailbreak in 1980 by somebody called Christopher Boyce, who was a Soviet spy. And that itself might be the story of another video to come, who knows. Anyway, there's a few others who might make for an interesting story in their own right, but I digress. All of this is very interesting and really not very relevant because Balwani has apparently now been ordered to attend a federal prison in Atlanta. I don't know the prison, so I can't comment on what it's going to be like. And so, as things move to their inevitable conclusion, one of the big outstandings in the case is the case for monetary fines and recompense. The prosecutors, as we know, are seeking over $900 million, and rulings on this are still, as far as I'm aware, unscheduled. And that's it. Will Ramesh Sunny Balwani be looking out of his window on Thursday night, or through and across fences and barbed wire? Well, I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Give a thought to hitting the subscribe button. With thoughts, we can change ourselves. With deeds, we can change other people. So if you actually hit the button, I'll change to being humble and grateful. Bye for now.